Hi everyone, and welcome to this video. My name is Christina Aroche. I am the Archangel channel. I'm a spiritual teacher and mentor, and I'm here to guide you on your journey of spiritual growth and awakening by teaching you about the Archangels, who they are, how they're here to support you, how they're here to guide you, and how you can deepen your connection to the angelic realms, how you can begin to connect and work with the Archangels so that they can guide you and support you on your journey of self-discovery, of understanding what your purpose is, what your gifts are, and to help you shine your light in this world. And in this video, I am going to be talking about the importance of trusting and surrendering. And so this whole video is based on a recent experience that I had. So I want to share about my experience through something that I went through in Paris. Actually, I just got back from Paris, and how much I was required to trust, to let go, and to surrender to the universe's plans rather than my plans, and how it all ended up working out. Okay, and through the story, I'm hoping to share the importance of what to do when you get to a situation where you're like, this is not what I expected at all, and how to move through it with grace and with flow and with ease and with the help of the universe and the angels, okay? Because they played a huge role in all of this. If you have been following me for a while, or if you follow me on Facebook, then you know that I recently went to Paris. I also went to Sedona before that, but the story is based around my trip to Paris and a retreat that I was hosting in Paris. And so I went to Paris with my friend, Carrie Cardozo, and together we were hosting a spiritual retreat called Sacred Soul Connections, just outside of Paris. Okay, so it was about 30 minutes outside of the central city, right along the river. Beautiful place, or so we thought, based on the pictures. But I'll share more about that in just a second through my story. And so basically, from the moment that we landed in Paris, actually, from the moment that we got to the airport to go to Paris, things, completely unfolded in a way that was different than what I had expected. And so I'll share more about that part, my airport experience in a different video. But this video, I want to share about the retreat experience. So once we got to Paris, once we landed, we had a driver who was already booked for us, to get us to the place, because it's 30 minutes outside of the city. So we hired a driver to get us out there, rather than taking public transportation or any of that kind of stuff. And so the first unexpected thing that happened when we got to the place was that it was actually not accessible by car, because although, from the description, talking to the owner, we thought that the house was right along the river and, it was a great place. What ended up happening, he messaged us and saying that we had to actually get dropped off like a street over and walk to the house because it's not accessible with big cars. And so when I first got that message, I was like, okay, I'm not really sure what you're talking about, but okay, we'll get dropped off here instead. But it soon became clear when we got there that the road was super narrow. So unless you have a tiny, tiny little car, it is not going to fit through that road. And forget about, two cars, like 2 lanes. It's like barely even 1 lane. And I don't even know how you get out of that road, so anyways, regardless to say, that was one unexpected thing that happened, is that when we got there, we actually had to walk to the house, and the owner of this place, so we booked it through Airbnb, the owner of this place had to meet us and put our luggage in his tiny little car, and me and Carrie had to walk to the house. So that was interesting. So then when we get to the place, as soon as we walked in through the gate, so the gate was really beautiful. I think it had like a image of Buddha. It was a really nice gate. But when we walked through, as soon as we stepped into, the main property area, it was a little bit different than what we expected, because we were met with huge steps. Okay, so this house was built on a hill, And so as soon as we came in, it was like we had to take these stone steps up to the place where we were staying. And so thankfully we didn't have to carry our luggage up there, but that poor guy did. He carried our luggage all the way up. But walking up to our actual main house where we were staying, where we had booked the place for the people who were coming to attend the retreat, we walked in and it did not look anything like what we expected it to look like. It was very rustic. It was very worn down. It was a little, it was different. It was definitely different than what we expected it to be from the pictures. And, you know, even from reviews, reading about this place, it sounded a lot different than what it actually was. And it definitely was not what we expected. So, you know, from our own point of view, our own perspectives, our own standards, it wasn't what we had imagined it to be. And so when we arrived there, and the guy showed us around the house, showed us the light switches, all that kind of stuff. And then after he left, Carrie and I looked at each other like, we're supposed to do the retreat here? I don't know about that. And so what happened is that we fell into this, into the space of like, oh my gosh, is this really what's happening? Why were we guided here to come here? Why are we doing the retreat here? What is happening? Is this where we're supposed to be? Maybe we need to find a new place, go somewhere else in Paris. Maybe we need to, you know, figure out what's going on and, you know, change things, because this is not what we expected and we cannot hold a retreat here. This is crazy. And so luckily we came a day early than when the retreat was supposed to start. So we had time to figure things out. But the first thing that had to happen is that we needed to clear out and release the things that were coming up, because there's a lot of stuff coming up in terms of like, oh my gosh, we can't be here. How can we do this? This is not what we expected, you know, and it just like totally affects your energy. Like whenever you are in a situation that is not how you expect it to be, it's like it totally changes how you feel and the thoughts that come up in your mind. And so that was the first thing that we had to do. We had to clear those things out. We had to do journaling. So journaling is a huge way that you can release the mind chatter, release the ego's beliefs and fears and all of that kind of stuff that comes up. And when you do that kind of work, when you do that journaling, it allows you to clear your mind so that you can then be more in tune with divine guidance. And so what ended up happening through clearing and channeling and releasing and all of that kind of stuff, what we realized was that we had to stay at this place. So despite our efforts in trying to find a new place, because, you know, this, as I said, the house was not what we expected it to be. It was much more rustic. It was much more worn down than what we wanted it to be. What ended up happening is that night when we went to bed, because we thought, okay, we can figure things out in the morning, because we weren't getting any further guidance besides you need to trust and release right now. So what we were getting guidance from the angels and the guides was that we right now need to focus on us. We need to focus on our own healing, and that we would figure things out along the way. So that was the first part of this, trusting and releasing and surrendering and letting go and allowing it to unfold the way it's supposed to. So then when we woke up, I had a dream that night before that we ended up doing the retreat at this place. Okay, that was what my dream was. And I told Carrie this, and she was like, okay. So, and this was, you know, after our efforts of trying to find places, seeing where we can maybe do, you know, just leave this place and go to another place in Paris, and do the retreat from there. But it did not end up working that way. The first attendee was coming that morning because of her flight and all that kind of stuff. So it was just kind of like, all right, we're going to stay here. So we're going to surrender to this process, and we're going to allow the universe to show us the next step, show us what we need to do. Alongside this, other things where we had to release and let go of expectations and surrender to the process of the universe was, one, we had to cancel our private chef, because as I described, there was no way that a private chef was going to be able to come up to this house, let alone cook in the tiny little kitchen that was literally like this size. Like, I'm not even joking. It was like one person can fit into the kitchen. No way that a private chef is going to be able to work there. So we had to cancel that. We had to figure out our own way of, getting food and being able to accommodate for the people who were attending the retreat. And what we ended up doing was walking to the grocery store and finding the food that we were going to have. We ended up going out for dinner at night, which was actually really nice. We found a really amazing restaurant and that we were able to get vegan food from, which is basically ordering pizza without the cheese, but we made it work. And so it was like so many things happened throughout this retreat in terms of how it all unfolded, and the way it all worked out was exactly the way it was supposed to. And so what we learned through the process of surrendering and through the process of letting go and trusting in the universe and trusting that we were exactly where we were meant to be, even though this was not how we had planned it at all, was the fact that the universe brought us to this place, into this house, because we had to go back to our roots. We had to go back to like the bare minimums in terms of, no private chef. We have to find our own food. We have to walk to the grocery store ourselves. In terms of like the surroundings. So we were completely surrounded by nature, which was amazing. But, the way we were staying in the house and the things around us, it was like totally different than what we are used to in the city, living in the city. And so, everything was fine in terms of toilet. Like, there was a working bathroom in the house, so it was fine. It wasn't that bad. But it was just like so many things were not as we expected, not the level of comfort or luxury that we would expect. But it all goes to show that even when you go into a situation where you are meant to show up, where you're meant to teach, where you're meant to support others in their healing and growth, that the universe places you exactly where you're supposed to be. And so this place actually ended up being so perfect for the healing and for the growth and for the expansion that we all went through, okay? All of us, including Carrie and I, as well as the attendees of the retreat. And if it wasn't for Carrie and I stepping into this place where the universe was asking us to heal and to release and to dig into what it is that was coming up for us, to let that go, to then be able to surrender and trust and allow the universe to guide us, then we would not have been able to hold the space and create the powerful transformations that we did throughout this retreat. Okay. And so the reason why I want to share this video and the reason why I have been guided to share this video with you guys and share my experience is because I know that there have been so many situations in your lives, in my life too. And so this also helps me in moving forward, that things don't work out the way you expect them to, or things don't unfold the way that you expect them to, but they always work out for your highest good, okay? And this is something that's so important, is that even though in our minds, this retreat was not at a house that we expected it to be, this was not the exact environment or situation how we expected it to be in terms of, having food and a private chef and all of that kind of stuff. But everything worked out exactly the way it was supposed to, and it was even better than we could have ever imagined in the end. But we first had to work through the stuff that came up, okay? And so if you're in a situation where things are not going as you expect them to, or if you're in a situation where things are unfolding in a completely different way than you thought they would unfold, then it's important to trust and surrender and let go, okay? And the first step that you need to take is to journal out the things that come up for you, to release those, let those things go. Journal out the mind chatter, the fears, the beliefs, all of that kind of stuff. Journal it all out, because when you journal, you're releasing the energy and you're releasing that built up things that come up, so that you can then make the space for clear divine guidance to come through, okay? And now one of the other important things that we did throughout this whole situation, but also throughout this trip, was to ask the universe for our next step. So when we were there, so this was Thursday night when we had arrived, and we were trying to figure things out. And all we could do is say, show us our next step. Show us what we need to do. Show us the next step to moving forward. And that was really all that we could do. And trust that when we were ready to receive that next step, that we would. Okay, and that's really powerful as well. So if you're in a situation where you're like, I have no idea what the next step is, this is not going according to plan, what you then need to do after you do the journaling and the releasing is then say, what's my next step? Show me my next step. And then trust that your next step will be shown to you. Okay, so this doesn't necessarily mean that the step will be shown right away. Okay, so when we asked, it wasn't like, okay, here's the next step. But we trusted that based on our feelings, our thoughts, what we heard, we were also pulling cards, okay? Anything that you feel guided to do, trust in that, okay? Trust that that next step will be given to you. And so, for example, for me, you might even get it in a dream. So for me, I got the dream that we were staying there, that we were doing the retreat there, that we weren't supposed to go anywhere else, that we were supposed to stay at the house, even if it wasn't what we expected it to be. And so it's so important to follow those small signs and messages and guidance that you get along the way. And so when you do that, rather than resisting, so for us, resisting would have been still trying to book a place, still trying to research how to get out of there, still trying to find a way to make things different than what they were supposed to be. And so when you fall into that resistance, then it makes things a lot harder. It makes things a lot more challenging. It makes things feel much more uncomfortable. Whereas when you lean into what it is that you're supposed to be doing and go with the flow of the universe and you surrender, meaning that you let go of the control and you allow the universe to show you what you need to do, then things flow much better, much smoother. Everything works out so much better because you go with the flow. And that's what happened for us. We went with the flow and everything worked out so beautifully, so perfectly. And it was so perfect for the attendees as well. It was the exact environment that we needed to be in order to experience the growth, to experience the healing, the releasing, the connection that this retreat was supposed to bring to other people. Okay. And so, and to us as well. It was not just about the other people. It was about us as well. And so this is the power of trusting and surrendering. When you allow yourself to surrender, when you allow yourself to trust in the universe and the greater divine plan and the unfolding of everything, even if it's not the way you expect it to be, when you go with the flow and release and let go along the way, then everything works out much better than you could have ever expected. Okay, so remember that if you're going through this right now, then allow yourself to surrender, allow yourself to trust, and remember to ask the universe, show me my next step. So that is just one little snippet of my trip to Paris, and there's a lot more that I will be sharing, a lot of golden nuggets of wisdom that I have experienced and found along the way. So if you have any experience that you want to share where you have trusted and surrendered, or if you're going through a situation right now, then please share your comments below. Okay, if you have any questions about how to do this or questions about your next steps or how to find what those next steps are, then leave your comments below in this video and I will come back and answer you. If you know anyone who needs to hear this message, who needs to know about the power of trusting and surrendering, then make sure to share this video with them. And if you want to connect on social media, then make sure to go check out my links below to find me on Facebook and on Instagram. And if you have not subscribed yet to this channel, make sure to subscribe so that you do not miss any future videos. And if you enjoyed this video, make sure to give it a thumbs up. So as always, I am sending you lots of love and angel blessings, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.